Okay, what we're going to show you now is the magnetic stability training model. What it really is just some magnetic sheeting with different diagrams printed on it. You just take them off on the sheet and you make all these different scenarios. What we have here is the top view of the forklift, and we also have the side view. Now this is a training model so that you make sure that your students understand what causes a lift truck center of gravity to move and what causes some dangerous situations. First of all, it's very critical in this is to show the shapes. For example, we have a square load here, and we use this triangle to say, okay, where would this load balance? And you can teach that. Now you say, what happens over here with this orange one? What would happen if you put it balancing? You can ask the student to come up and say, where would it go? And he goes, if the student put it there, well, obviously you know right off the bat, they don't quite understand. And it should be there, and then we can take one of our stability pieces and say, okay, that's where it's going to balance. And then you'd understand that they get the concept. The same with the green one, they can play with that. You can say, well, what if the load all of a sudden did that? And of course, you can always change the scenarios around. That just makes sure, reinforce they understand the principle. Now, what happens on the forklift? Well, we can say here we have the stability of the load is in the center, but where normally it's stability without the load, well, maybe the truck was back there. So we just move that away, and then we bring it in, and then we say, okay, what happens to the combined center of gravity? Well, we'd say it would move forward. Now, what would happen if we raise the mast up? Then the student can move it where it would go. And say, well, what happens if we moved it too far forward? What would happen to the stability of the combined stability of the truck? Well, it would go here, and then, of course, we would have a tip-over situation. This is what's so nice about the magnet, is you can put it in any situation you want, as well as you can say what happens to a longer load if it was on. We can also even include, let's just move that off, we can say what happens if we got a very high lifting truck and it goes all the way up. And we can make scenarios of mass going up very high and long. Say this is a carpet pole situation. You can ask them, you know, it goes way up to the very top, so they have to be very careful on their forward tilt because of the fact of what's happening with the stability of the truck. Sideways as well is very important, because let's say this truck is traveling with a load, and we've determined that because of the weight of the load, the stability of the truck is quite forward. So we can say, you know, don't stop fast or whatever, otherwise it'll come off. Now, what would happen if we turn the truck in this direction or that direction? What would happen to the combined center of gravity? Especially when it's unloaded, because it would then obviously move back, the combined center of gravity would be there, it would be the center of gravity of the truck, and then we can see what happens to it. These are all the scenarios you can do. It's literally any type of situation that you have in your workplace, this model can do, and you can test your students to make sure they understand stability principles. Remember, tip-overs is the #1 cause of deaths on forklifts. So this is why this model kit is excellent training aid that every instructor should have.